I'm going to go ahead and start the YouTube highlight from right here. This is the weekly raid dungeon walkthrough thing for a random DS heroic boss. And what I mean by random is there's no set schedule for what's going down. Just kind of take stuff that's, we started out with Gunship, Spine, and Madness, all of which can be found on my YouTube. And, after that it's just going to be based on demand from people within the stream community on what they want to see. So a lot of people have asked about Zonozz, so that's what we're going to be going over. And we are going to go over it is kind of an easier boss or whatnot compared to Spine and Madness and things like that, but that doesn't mean there aren't guilds stuck on it, and that doesn't mean that there may be some things about the fight that you didn't really understand how they work. And I can be the first person to attest to things like this because it wasn't even until a couple weeks ago that I found out that on Ultraxian there was a debuff. The debuff that you get when you go down as a tank, it never really came into play during progression. So, but yeah, when you get the debuff, you take 100% extra increased damage. So I actually just found out about that recently. We did the progression without really worrying about it. Not a game breaker, but point being, there are some things about a fight that you could possibly, not be understanding during the fight. So we're gonna go over the basis thing, or the basics and Dungeon Journal, go over each ability, how it is incorporated into the fight, toss a little bit of input on each one of those. From there, we're going to go over some videos and some parses, and I'll tell you guys some diagram overviews and things like that. Tell you guys some of the stuff you shouldn't be looking for, and things of that nature. If at any point you guys have questions and I'm still talking, just make sure to have them annotated, and then whenever we go to taking questions from the stream audience, you guys just post any questions that you have, and I'll try and help you out. We will go ahead and get this started. All right. So if you guys want to follow along in the Dungeon Journal, you can just log on and do that. So I'm going to be talking about it from a 25 heroic perspective. We'll also give some insight on some how it's done in 10-man. All right. Each one of these abilities. All right. You got focused anger. Warlord Zonozz increases his anger and rage. TLDR. The longer you're in a phase, the harder he starts hitting. Tanks need to save your cooldowns for the later on into the fight instead of or not into the fight. Each time the orb hits him, it resets the stacks. So you want to have your cooldowns up. Say if you're getting it to like a 7 stack of the orb bounce, you want to have cooldowns up during the last few bounces because he's going to be hitting a lot harder than he is at the beginning. All right, so yeah, like say the first site, and then we'll get to it. All right, whatever. It kind of all ties in together. I don't want to get into talking about something else without going over it first, so we're just going to keep chipping away here. Psychic Drain. This is the beam that he shoots out in front of him. Deals 180,000 shadow damage in a 30-degree cone in front of himself. Tank needs to have a cooldown up. You should be getting no more than 2 of those per phase, depending on your strat. We can go over some options for that in a bit. If you're getting a third, you're probably in the phase a little bit longer than you need to be. Still may be doable. But the first one you don't really need a cooldown for. If you got like super pro priests that can put the boss on focus and see, not put the boss on focus, be able to have the timers in a place where he can see them. You get a shield on the tank. Basically, it heals him for the amount of, deals damage and leeching life for 10 times the amount of damage dealt. It's not a substantial gain in HP, but it's still adding HP to the boss, so any amount that you can mitigate is good. Say for like a Death Knight, you can't. It comes in like, I think it's like a 30-second. It's shorter than a 45-second interval because AMS is not back up for the second one, so you choose to AMS the second one. Okay, because the boss is hitting you super hard, you don't really want to not have a cooldown for the deal. So for another tank, say a warrior, you'd want to shield block it. A pally, probably have div prod up or something like that. We'll get into tank cooldowns later on, but just so you guys understand how the Psychic Drain works, it's a 30-degree cone in front of him, shoots a beam out, and based on the amount of damage it deals, it heals him for a certain percentage. Disrupting Shadows, this is a debuff that goes out. It deals a dot that it's a dot that deals damage, and the thing is, you can deal with this one of 2 ways. You can move out and have it dispelled and it knocks you back. So if you're doing, we'll go over the pros and cons of each one of those strats. If you are moving out and you're going to get knocked back, you'll want to aim yourself in the direction where you want to be knocked back. So if you're going to run out of the melee pile or the range pile, you put your back to the pile. That way when you get dispelled, it knocks you back into the camp. One of the strats that a lot of guilds use, and we do use now as well, we've been using it since about our third or fourth kill. We didn't use it initially, but we've adopted it at this point, is you just stay in and heal through the debuffs. You never dispel them. If you never dispel them, nobody's ever getting knocked back. You just have to heal through the damage, which is, there's it says here 45k every other second, so it's definitely healable. All right. Void of the Unmaking, that's the orb, self-explanatory. Void Diffusion, whenever it hits a player, it basically does a Saber Lash mechanic. It's split damage among everyone that's in the area, so you'll want people stacked up on top of each other. Generally 2 groups of 12 is the way to go, and we bounce it 7 times per bounce. Okay. We'll get into the stacking strats for things like that on the orb in a bit. Black Blood Eruption. Basically, if it hits a wall, the entire raid's going to take damage and knock you up in there, and then you're going to take fall damage as well. So, basically, if it hits a wall, it's pretty much going to be a wipe. Once it hits the boss, it says it basically puts a stacking damage amp on the boss, so you don't ever want to let it fall. I think it's a 2-minute duration. So I think as long as you're getting it in, I know we do 7 bounces, and it keeps the buff active, and thus the later in the fight, the more damage he takes. It's a fight where his HP isn't necessarily dependent on, the first 20% is going to take a lot longer than the next 20%, if that makes sense. So you just want to keep that debuff rolling on the boss. You don't want to just have it bouncing to the point where the debuff falls and then he eats it again. Black Blood of... Okay, well, and then whenever the ball hits him, he goes into the next phase. It's basically a 2-phase fight. It works between, you bounce between phase 1 and phase 2, phase 1 and phase 2 over and over. All right, once the ball hits him, and for the ball to hit him, no one else can be in range. So you have to make sure that you have people running out. We're going to go over that and show you in videos and things of that nature. The Black Blood of Groth. Let's see. Yeah, this is whenever you go into that phase. If you've only done it on normal, you see a lot of tentacles around the room and things like that. They're static locations, and we'll go over placement on those in a minute as well. But just to give you a chance how they work, the raid's taking a lot of AoE damage, and it is amplified by the number of tentacles alive. So basically, whenever you enter that phase, it is priority 1 to, start killing off flails as soon as possible, and we'll get to that. Okay. Also, there are 2 claws. All right. Tanks have to tank those. If they don't, people are just going to start getting raped. All right. I mean, they deal. But I mean, you don't have to have 2 tanks for the fight. We 2 tank it just because it's not that high of a damage requirement. We even 2 tanked it on progression. But you can also do a 1 tank strat and have somebody that has good mitigation, like a feral druid that goes bear form to tank the other one and things like that. But the biggest thing is put a tank on them. If not, they're going to start killing your raid members. And then the two things that people have to kill in that phase are the flail and the eyes. The flails have priority. You see it's just doing raid damage and things like that, and then the eyes also doing raid damage. So all of those abilities, Shadow Gaze, Wind Flail, and Sludge Spew, that's just raid damage. The Sludge Spew is not really avoidable. It's going to be hitting somebody in the raid. The flail is also, it deals a knockback, does 20,000 physical damage, and then you also have the Shadow Gaze. Alright, so those are all the abilities. It might seem like, oh, well, I don't really understand how that works. Don't worry about it. We're going to get into that. I just like going over all the abilities and letting people see it in the Dungeon Journal, and then we'll get to the video and things like that. Okay. Right now, I am going to show you guys a quick diagram, 1 second, of the room and how we actually ended up doing it on progression. 1 second. And we're also going to get open our 25-man world first kill. I'm going to go ahead and make this full screen so you guys can see this. Alright, we're going to get that open, and then I'm also going to get a couple pictures for you guys of the room and the breakdown on a pretty solid strat. This isn't something that you have to use, but it's definitely something that will help you out if you're making progress on that fight. Give me one second. Here we go. If you guys were in here the other day, you could already have seen this. There's a diagram we're going to go over. And one sec. Okay. With that said, we'll get to this picture in a second. We're going to go ahead and go over the video, and I'm going to just walk you guys through this and how it's going to work. Okay, so I'm going to link this video in chat, and you guys can follow along if you want. Okay, there's the video. You guys go ahead and get that open. We're going to start with that. Okay. Actually, I don't know what kind of music and how it's going to work. Okay, so I'm going to link it. Let's see. Okay. So you see when we pull here, this is going to be from Affinity's POV. I'm going to go ahead and mute this so we don't hear GB talking the entire time. Right when you pull, alright, I'm actually going to bounce back and forth between this picture and the YouTube vid. Alright, and this lets people understand kind of what's going on when we pull the boss and things like that. So what happens is, we pull the boss from over here. It doesn't really matter. I mean, you're going to have this is your range camp, and then this is your melee camp. I mean, this is going to be slightly adjusted in the video. The melee camp is obviously going to be behind the boss. This is talking about going into the next phase. But, you know, from a general rule, the boss is going to be near the middle of the room, and then you're going to have the range camp here and the melee camp right behind the boss. And the ball is going to be bouncing between the two of those. And this is the way that we decided to do it, because like I said, the void diffusion from the ball, a couple things that you can do with that. You can have Shadow Priest soaking it with dispersion to get an extra bounce or something like that off. But all in all, you just need to understand how the ball works. You bounce it, let it hit the boss before the debuff falls, keeping the damage amp active. And every time that you soak the ball, you either need to have somebody like a Shadow Priest dispersion it, a mage with Cauterize or something like that, or just probably 12 people. That's the way that we do it. We do 2 camps of 12. There's also strats where the entire raid soaks it every time. That's another way to do it if you're trying to cheese it or whatever. There's several different options. Bottom line is just bounce it, keep the buff active on the boss. The pros and cons of doing that, I mean, figuring out what you need to do is it just more or less comes down on your healers. If they're going to be able to keep up with the healing from 10 to 12 people soaking it every time, or if you need to do something like have the whole raid soak it every time. You know, it just depends on your guild, the amount of DPS that you're at, and things like that. But just showing you this video, that way you understand where people are going. Alright, the range camp basically stacks, but this is when you go into the next phase, you stack here, you're responsible for this flail and this flail. Like say group 2 is getting this one, group 4 is getting this one, and group 1 and 3 are the melee groups, and you have them split up, you know, 3 over here, 3 over here, and then you have 1 tank on an eye each. Okay, so that's a diagram. We're just going to go through and show you guys in real time what's going on. I linked it in chat if you guys want to follow along with it. So we're going to go here. You see the ball. I'm going to show you this. On the pull is pretty imperative that, okay, you see everybody stacked up over here. We get a roar running in. Tank runs in from here. It doesn't really matter the side the tank comes in from. Point is, he gets in the middle, turns, faces the raid. That's all the melee that just came in from here. All the ranged are over here. He aims the ball at the raid, as you see him spawning the ball right here. So the boss is near the middle of the room. Doesn't have to be the middle, you know. I mean, you just have to understand that the ball has to bounce back and forth. Alright, so you see the ball face the ranged. He then spins him around. Alright, then moves him back a little bit, just so he's not in range to take the splash either. So this is hitting, you see the cone thing that just went out, so it's imperative that nobody's in front of the tank, and you also have to face him away from the raid for that reason. Okay, and say that the beam hits the whole tank, remember it heals him for the amount of damage done. So if you're hitting the whole raid with the beam, he's going to heal a lot more than he would just being the tank. Okay, so you're bouncing the ball back and forth. A key thing, okay, and this is a really key way to do this fight, is you can either, like I said, choose to dispel the debuff, or you can choose to not dispel the debuff. I mean, those are your two options. It may seem self-explanatory, but I mean, the decision is something that you're going to have to come to as a guild and decide which one you want to do. If you're going to dispel, it will ease the healing load, but it's also going to turn into a lot more logistic deal. You're going to have people running out, being next to each other, being dispelled twice, and then them taking explosion damage from both, things like that. To be honest, it's just easier to stay stacked and heal through it and just use raid cooldowns. Now, it depends on your raid comp. You really need to have a Disc Priest to do that. One of your 2 tanks. If you're going to 1-tank it, I mean, 2-tanking the fight's really strong because it gives you those additional raid CDs, and we'll get into, you know, the tank cooldowns in a bit. But, I mean, that's really what the first thing that you need to come to a conclusion of is you need to decide if your healers are going to be comfortable either dispelling the debuff or healing through it. And again, healing through it is definitely the way you should go if you can. The way that we do it, some guilds front load the bounces. They do like 9 up front, and then they do like 4 and then 2. I mean, you see what I'm saying? There's multiple different ways that you can deal with the ball hitting the boss. The bottom line is, you know, you need to keep the damage amp buff active on the boss. Okay, so the way we do it is 7-7 set. We do 7 bounces every single time. You don't have to do it that way. You can do like, you can blow all your cooldowns at the beginning and do like 9 and then do 5 and 3. That could be an option. As long as you don't let that debuff fall, or the buff fall off, you're fine. But either way, it's, you know, you need to have your raid cooldowns planned out appropriately. So the way that I'll just speak about it from the way that we're doing it here in the video. All right, and again, this is pre-nerf, pre-anything. This is the first kill that was had on this boss in 25-man heroic. This was our world first 25-man. So the way that we were doing it here was we were dispelling debuffs, and we were cooldowning. If we ever had the orb hitting the raid while debuffs were active, we were using cooldowns, and that would either be a barrier or a DSAC or things like that. Okay, so this is what's happening now. You see the 4th bounce that it hits melee, there was a barrier down because there was debuffs out as well. Then it's going to go back to ranged. And a key point about how your raid needs to deal with this is, you know, it's going to you need everybody to understand they have to adjust. Okay, I know it's like pulling teeth a lot of the times to get people like mages and warlocks and, you know, your casters to move, but they're going to have to understand that if the orb takes an off angle or something like that, they're going to have to adjust and get in front of the orb path. All right, it's not always front and back. Sometimes it takes a weird angle coming out. All right, so you see here the barrier was down. This is the last hit the melee are going to take. So, you know, there's no debuffs out on this one. Okay, so you're going to be good. So that 6, 7's going to hit ranged. You hear everybody being called to move out. Okay, this is the key to doing this. And it may sound super simple, everybody get out of the way, but I can't tell you how many times people have, you know, forgotten to move out or just not been able to move out or just tunneled and thought they were out, but they're still too close because they're trying to milk DPS. I can assure you that your, you know, 100k damage that you're going to get in by milking the, you know, extra GCD out of it is not going to be worth it. Just get the fuck away from the boss, let the orb hit it, get into the next phase, and repeat. All right, so that's what's happening here. The orb's coming in, tank's got to move it a bit, it hits. Okay, now at this point, this just goes down to what I showed you guys a minute ago. We go back to the diagram. All right, you have to assign quadrants. This is the best way to do it. On PTR, we tried everything, man. We tried the entire raid, doing a loop across the room for maximum healing. Then you run into enrage problems. You know, I mean, we tried it all. I mean, and there are multiple options that you can deal with, but at the end of the day, you just need to pick something that gets flails to die ASAP to cut down on the raid damage. Because I don't care who you are, you're not going to be able to just heal through that phase if everything is left active, you know, for the entire fight. Okay, so that said, we're going to go back to the vid here. As you see here, affinity is assigned to one of the sides. Looks like this one over here. And you see the raid icon on everybody where I have it paused. I always vamp blood going into this phase because, you know, you don't want to cool down later in the phase. You've got to front load it because all the damage is front loaded. If you have people with personals, if you have raid cooldowns like vamp blood or DSAC, it is very key to have those active going into this phase. Rallying cry, you know, things like that. And the reason is, like I said, the damage, there's a lot of damage front loaded, and then you're going to have to combat that with a lot of healing to compensate. Then once some flails start dying, the damage goes down drastically. Okay, and you see the large claw that spawns here. There's also another one on the other side. Okay, so what's happening? Affinity's assigned to his group. You see over here they're killing the flail, and then they'll go to the eye, and then they'll get back on the boss. Every quadrant's assigned to their 2 to 3 mobs. You see his flail's already dead. As you see, raid damage is going down substantially. He's going over here. It's kind of hard to see what's going on from his POV. I'm going to show you from my POV in a minute. We're just going to go over his right now. So he's assigned to a melee side, all right? And those melee had to kill this flail, then this eye, and then they get on the claw, all right? So while they're on the claw, Absalom is tanking that claw. While he's tanking that claw, I have the boss on me plus my claw over here. A Death Knight's really strong for that, just because of Blood Shield, the self-healing, cooldowns for every phase, things like that. It's a really strong Death Knight fight because they don't need a dedicated healer on them during that phase. A beacon will suffice, and maybe some hots. Alright, you see here Affinity's over here keeping his people alive. Everything is dying. The boss is pulled back to the middle, and then aimed back at the raid. And then it's more or less rinse and repeat. You see that claw over here was kind of slow to die. This is, like I said, early on. Not a lot of gear, none of that. So it was pretty strapped and things like that. And you see he's pulled back to the middle. At this point, it's basically like resetting the fight, except he has a damage amp on him. Okay, so you're going to want to have. It's imperative that you keep that damage amp. If you guys are familiar with like Alakir in Phase 2, with how the Stormlings, you had to keep that stack of Stormlings on the boss. All right, and it's the same way with Zonozz. You have to keep that damage amp active on him through the ball bouncing and then letting it diffuse by hitting him. All right, it's that important. It doesn't matter if how high your DPS is. If you let that debuff reset one time, you might as well just wipe it, or not wipe it, but I mean the DPS gain is just it's insurmountable. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and play here. Like again, this is after the first phase. You get the transition down. All right, they dropped a barrier there. We have 2 Disc Priests in this raid. You hear a lot of people saying, well, Holy Priest, things like that. A Holy Priest is just, it doesn't have what you need to have. They're just not as strong this tier, and you're going to have people that want to argue that. The same thing with Resto Druids. That's cool. I'm not arguing the fact that they can put numbers up, man. But I'm telling you, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, you don't want to be raiding in a 25-man environment, especially. Well, I guess it just depends. But what I'm getting at is, 10-man, you could be some certain cases and whatnot. Spine, there are some exceptions just because of the lower him things. But what I'm getting at is, this is a fight, the perfect example of throughput not outweighing the raid utility and mitigating factors. Okay, so what I mean by that is, sure, you might have a Holy Priest that's putting out a lot more numbers, but unless that Holy Priest can save someone from, the barrier, for instance. That barrier is going to save people from dying. Throughput's not going to save that. If you've got the debuff plus taking an orb soak at the same time, it doesn't matter what kind of throughput you have. The barrier is what's going to save people. And that's a lot of what it comes down to. Not to mention, who uses GS anymore? GS has went from a tank cooldown to more of a, save this dumbass who is doing something wrong that's just a DPS cooldown or a healer. 9 times out of 10, a GS isn't really that big of a deal on a tank. You're going to want a PS because a PS is going to prevent the damage. A GS is just going to save you from taking one hit that's going to kill you, and then you're just going to more or less die to the subsequent hit. It's still good, don't get me wrong, but speaking from a tank perspective and just from a raid leader perspective, you want to have people like, a Shaman with Spirit Link, a Pally with AM, Sack, a Disc Priest with Barrier and PS. A Holy Priest and a Resto Druid just aren't bringing a lot to the table right now. And that will change next tier. It was different the previous tiers. Just this tier, that's my opinion, all right? But, this is a case in point right here, all right? So we're going to go ahead and play. You see the barrier there was used because they had debuffs and they took the Orb Soak. You see this one that went into melee. We kind of overkilled the cooldowns there. I don't really think that Spirit Link was needed, but we had it, so we used it. All right, again, we did 777. So you see here right now, this phase is all about maximizing the amount of damage you can do on the boss while dealing with the orb bouncing, okay, and the debuffs. So you see here, this is about to hit melee. There's no debuffs out, so there's no cooldowns used there. Everyone was top going into it. That's going to be 4. So this one that's coming in here, okay, if you have a Disc Priest in the raid, you can, and you have 2 Holy Paladins, you can basically have a cooldown up for every point that you need it. All right, let's see. So we're going to go ahead and hit play here. I'll go over this. So this one that's coming in for melee, this is going to be the last one the melee hit. AMZ is pretty good for this. It just depends if there's debuffs out, and the debuffs can eat the AMZ really quick. If there's not, and it can take the full hit of the orb soak, it's really good. So it's kind of situational. And you also are going to see Absalom DSAC going into this next phase. So you see here, that hits, then melee get out. The range take the last one. You get an AM over there for the ranged. Melee move out. And again, you go back to your diagram of, in different spots. All right, boss goes back to the middle. One key thing about this phase that I didn't really point out is when you're doing this, you need to keep the boss. There's one or two ways you're going to. If you're melee heavy and you've got stuff like combat rogues, you can pull him over on top of the melee claw and let the rogue stay on that and kill the claw through Blade Flurry. The boss has a damage amp, and that transitions through Blade Flurry to the claw. So the claw will just get melted if you're tanking the boss on top of the claw and Blade Flurrying off the boss, okay? But since we don't really run a lot of melee, we pull the boss on top of the ranged tentacle. That way it stays in Daughter's range and things like that, and you just let the DPS just go nuts, the ranged DPS, because, it's a lot easier for them while the melee are running around over here killing the eyes and the claws and things like that. Okay, so we're going to hit play. You see going into this phase, again, you see the Vamp Blood go up. That gives the healers a little bit of a cushion. And you see the guy in chat talking about he does really good on his Resto Druid. I'm not saying a Resto Druid's bad. Like I said, a Resto Druid's probably going to have some of the highest throughput on this fight, and Trank and Tree Form and things like that. And on a 25-man, you can have a Resto Druid and still get it done. I'm just saying one of the negative drawbacks to bringing a Resto Druid and or a Holy Priest is just their lack of raid utility. And what I mean by that is you're not going to be able to mitigate damage like you can with a Holy Paladin, a Resto Shaman, and a Disc Priest. It's just, you can't. It's not anything. It's not your fault. It's just the way the class is designed. In a phase like this, a Resto Druid will really shine because, you can see here we actually had one. This is Acral Healing. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just telling you the pros and cons. And if it comes down to it, if you have to pick between having a Disc Priest or a Holy Priest and you only have one spot for a Priest, take the Disc Priest, okay? For the barrier. It's going to make your life a lot better. And the PS on the tank and shielding people going into this phase. It's too good. Alright, so you see here, everybody's finishing their claws, and finishing their flails and eyes. Then they're going to finish this claw, and then we're going to get back on the boss. You're going to go through about 3 of these transitions, okay? So you see here, everybody's getting back, all the shit's dead. You see the round of debuffs goes out exactly at the time that the orb is spawning. So if you're using the strat where people are moving out for the debuff, you want to make sure if there's a fresh set of debuffs right before you're about to soak, you have to stay in and soak. Okay? You can't run out and make 5 less people soak the debuff. You're just going to end up getting people killed. No, Acro is definitely Resto in here. I'm not sure. You guys are pointing out his 8-minute Trank here. I don't know. Maybe that's either ORA being bugged, not calculating the talent, or what. But he was definitely Resto during the fight. I don't know. Maybe he didn't pick up the talent. I don't really know how Resto Druids do their thing. But you'd have to ask him. He was definitely Resto for this fight. So let's see here. Thing spawns. The range stay in to soak because the debuff is out. Now again, if you're staying in and healing through the debuffs, none of that matters. I'm just talking about people from talking about this from a running out and dispelling point of view. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and hit play again. So I'm going to go ahead and relink this video if anybody's wanting to watch. Okay, so hit play. You see here, Affinity has, okay, this is what I was talking about. You see here, this is what he did. He has the debuff, right? So he's going to run out and dispel himself. If you are using the strat to run out and dispel yourself, again, it's easier on healing. If you're doing it, you can drop a healer if you're close on if you're strapped for DPS. He puts his back towards the direction that he wants to go. All right, and then he dispels it, and then it knocks him back in. It's just min-maxing, and then he gets back in time to soak. So that's good. So it was a second bounce. You let it bounce a couple times. Again, the damage amp's going on the boss. The damage is going to start increasing. You see the boss hits here. There were no debuffs out, so there's no cooldown used. Now this one coming in here, there's going to be debuffs, so there's going to be a barrier. As you see here, he's dropping the barrier, somewhat off-center, par for the course, whatever. All right, so then it's going back out. Range are going to soak, probably with an AM. Then melee get out, and then the ball is going to hit. This is going to be the third and final transition into this phase. As you see going into this phase, Vamp Blood is about to go up. Should already be up. Not sure what I'm really doing. Maybe I popped. Oh, wait, there it goes. Okay, that was actually really late. Okay, so that's shit on my part. My Vamp Blood was probably about 5 seconds late. You always want to have that up going into the phase because the first 5-6 seconds in that phase are all that matters. And then having it up a little bit early is just going to ensure that people are topped and things like that. All right. You see the claws, or the flails and the eyes die. Again, every one of those is tied to raid damage, and it amplifies the raid damage that's going out in that phase. All right, you see they're going to finish this claw. We're going to be lusting during this phase, okay? I'm going to go ahead and, let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and put the sound on and let you guys listen. Okay, so you hear me there. Tell melee to get out and back in. But what happened is the debuffs went out, and since the first one's going to hit ranged, the melee have enough time to get out, get dispelled, and get back in. It cuts down on a lot of the healing. So that's what we do. We run out, get dispelled, and then get back in. And then, you know, initially the fight was a lot more strapped for healing, DPS, and things like that. Now you've got a little bit of a cushion with what you can deal with and what you don't have to. But either way, you know, this is, like I said, this is a video based on the strat of running out and dispelling and then coming back in. And then we'll go over another video from my POV in a second.
Okay, use it next.
Okay, so you see a Spirit Link drop for the second one that's hitting melee. Alright. Okay, so what's happening here is we're committing to staying on the boss. Okay, what we should have done, hindsight, you know, like I said, this is way long ago. We should have let it hit the boss and then stayed on it because, you know, it's just a little bit easier to heal getting the entire raid grouped up and not having to deal with the ball. But you see how it plays out, and we ended up, you know, making it happen. We're going to need a cooldown for this. I think we get a D-Sac. You'll see here.
What's up?
Dispel me. D-Sac, Phil. D-Sac.
I can't.
Okay, we had a barrier for that, and I don't even, let me figure out what happened right there. We ended up killing it, but it looks like we had a little bit of problem trying to remember. Okay, what happened is, okay, the cone went out and killed Abs because, I don't know, lack of healing. I'd have to see his death log. I don't remember at the top of my head. This is a prime example of what can go wrong in this fight. The tank dies because at this point, like I said, the longer you're in this phase, the harder the ball starts to hit, all right? And the beam that hit him, you know, if he didn't have a cooldown up for that, I don't remember if he did or didn't. He could have, may have just been taking a lot. You know, he starts hitting harder, and not only does he start hitting harder, he starts hitting faster. So, more or less what happens here, debuffs are out, we're supposed to be soaking, tank beam goes out, kills the tank, I think Affinity runs out, and actually he dies to the orb explosion because he was running out instead of staying in with the barrier. But that was probably a confusion because I was telling Melee to get out and try and get back in. So he probably tried to get out, dispel, and get back in the barrier. Timings just weren't there. And you see here the tank died, Affinity died, and Acral died. So we have 2 healers and a tank die. We end up recovering here. This is another benefit to having 2 tanks. You see here I'm going to hit play. I end up picking the boss up. The range soak, 1 more hit, and then we let it hit the boss and stay on him, I think. Okay, I've got it right here.
Next melee riding it, and then Shadow Priest bouncing.
Let the Shadow Priest bounce now. Somebody can run into it. Okay, so you see me right here. This is what we're doing. Since it went south, I didn't think that we had enough people to soak in melee. We have Affinity dead, Acral dead, so that's 2 healers and the tanker dead. So I made a call right here to have a Shadow Priest run out and dispersion it. And you see Cameron Opti getting clutch with the rocket boots. You see, this is why engineering saves raids, ladies and gentlemen. This is a world first brought to you by having an engineer in the raid from 2 different perspectives. I mean, you're about to see me use it here in a second, and you're also about to see Opti use it to keep the ball from hitting the wall, okay? Yes, in before his rocket boots could have malfunctioned. Sure, it could have. Majority of the time, they're not going to. And this is a prime example of how him, as you can see this dwarf right here, rocket booting all the way over here to get a dispersion on the void, okay? And we're going to let it play out here, and then I'll stop it again.
So who takes damage for
20
this?
seconds on the debuff.
It's me.
Take it.
Stand by yourself.
I have Guardian up.
Stand by yourself with a debuff.
Guardian's on rig. My Guardian's on rig right now.
Copy.
Keep falling in 10 rig.
Okay.
Let it hit.
And you hear Taxis saying the debuff's about to fall. We've got to let it hit.
I have range on them.
Let it hit. Let it hit. Let it hit.
Okay, you see the ball? Okay, here's engineering cameo number 2. Okay, you saw Cameron use engineer rocket boots to hit it. It came off the wall at a weird angle. Now you're about to see me rocket boots and pull the boss into the orb. Okay, this isn't bragging, boasting, anything. This is me showing you guys directly why engineering is the way to be. Okay, I mean, you're going to lose 100 of a stat, sure, and on certain fights that may be a liability, sure, but I mean, just watch here.
Let it hit.
Bring the boss to it. Make it.
No, there's rocket boots. You see me zip across, and it got it through. Go ahead and watch that again real quick. Because just watch the square.
Let it hit.
I have range on them.
Let it hit. Let it hit. Let it hit. Let it hit. Let it hit.
Bring the boss to it. Make it.
No, look.
There you go.
Just run the boss.
All right, so we got it. We kept the damage amp active. Boss is at 3%.
Stay on the ball.
Dehemming.
Do it now. Do it now.
Close the shit out.
Yeah, boy.
Okay, so there you go. That's the kill. You know, that is a way to do the fight. I'm going to show you guys again from a different POV.
Let's go. Let's keep going.
All right, so yeah, that's that. All right, Nerd Screams and all that jazz. Okay, so you know that is the fight from a run out and dispel POV and how you deal with the different phases. All right, now one thing I want to see if this is uploaded. I actually highlighted a video from my stream that I wanted to show you guys. One sec. Okay, I'm gonna link this in here. This is just a highlight from the stream from last week's raid. Okay, and this is going to be another POV from just looking at how to deal with the fight. This is from a tank POV, and we're gonna run through this super quick. Okay. Again, this is from last week. You guys can follow along here. Fast forward here. Okay, here we go. One sec. All right.
Pulling in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, you see me pull. Keep it aimed at the raid. You guys get to see a little bit more of the fight this way.
Oh my god, you fucking... Are you joking?
I didn't even know this is when I uploaded. Okay, this is how to deal with people that nuke the shit out of the boss right off the bat. I mean, I'd have to go back and through. I actually had pretty shit threat on the beginning. The Shadow Priest pulls. It goes into him. I taunt off him. It faces the ball the other direction. So this is a pretty shitty pull, but, you know, it gets under control after the first set. We actually pull it out and get the kill. So go ahead and play here. It's not a wipe if this happens. It just kind of slows down your kill a lot.
Dude, are you fucking serious? Yeah, one of you needs to go fucking hit it. No, he's not.
Okay, so what's happening here is somebody's going to have to more or less go sacrifice to go hit that ball and let it come back and hit the boss. All right. So right now we're just nuking the boss. The shadows are out. You're not. This is a strat where you're not running out and hitting it. So you see over there, all those guys went. There's like 3 of them. They went and stacked up. They dropped a barrier on themselves, hit it. Now it's coming back to the boss. No one died. That's good. You just lose out on the damage amp stacks. So what's going to happen here? You know, it's going to hit the boss. Boom. The other tank taunted it across to make sure it got hit. Then we go into this phase. You see me vamp blood going into the phase. Then I pick up this claw. The boss is going to be coming over here to me to stay in range of all the casters. That's what I was saying. You see, I'm going to be taking the claw and the boss. All right. So this is kind of a different pull. I mean, it's let this play out here, and then let it get into a normal rotation. Alright, so see the claw dies. What your tank does at that point, he pulls the boss back into the middle, spins it around, aims it. I mean, as a tank, what you want to be looking for, just look at the stream of shit like lightning bolts, wraths, you name it. Just look at where all that's coming from, and that tells you where you need to aim it. That's the easiest way to deal with it. Alright, so you're going to see the majority of stuff's coming right here. You just aim the middle of the boss, right there. I just spun my camera to double check, but it's a pretty good indicator. Alright, aim it at that, spin it back around, move it back a little bit. That way, you know, it's min distance. So you do not cool down the first psychic drain, okay? There's no point, you know, because you're only going to have it for, you're only going to have AMS for one of the two, and you want to have it for the second one, all right? And that's another benefit of having a disc priest in the raid. You can give it to your you can give a cooldown to your tank whenever, you know, they're going in. So his damage is about to start amping up. The timer's down. I AMS here. He should be doing a psychic drain. There it is. I call for a PS because my IBF. So you basically IBF, PS, IBF. That's the rotation you need to be using. All right, melee get out. It's going to have to hit. You can have your other tank taunt through to make sure it hits. That's exactly what Opti does. It's the best way to do it. Instead of having your one tank pull it around, VB going into the phase. You see the range camps. There's one here, and then there is one over there. Okay, so those are the, or I'm sorry, it's over here underneath my raid frames and shit. So there's one, and the other one's over here. And then here we have me on the boss plus the claw. Again, the reason the tanks have to be on the claw is it keeps them from, you know, killing people in the raid. If you don't have that tanked, it's going to end up killing people. Alright, so that claw dies. I pull it back to the middle of the room. Get it back middle, spin it around. Got to aim it at the line of shit coming in, all the spells. Aim it, ball goes out, spin it back around, rinse and repeat. You know what I mean? So one thing that you can take out of this that you couldn't get from the other video is just that, as you said, AMS for that one, we're staying in and healing through the debuffs. There's a lot more healing that needs to be done, but it's a little bit more controlled, if you will. All right. So yeah, that's that. And I'm going to fast forward here. What you're going to do with today's strats during the boss, just because of nerfs and stuff, or even without the nerfs, it doesn't really matter because it applies the same either way. What you're going to do is instead of, so see this is the last one the melee are going to hit, you let a Shadow Priest, this is the last one the melee are going to soak, and then the next one that goes out, you let a Shadow Priest run out there and dispersion it. Alright, so everybody else moves out of the way and just stays on the boss. And then there you go. You just have a Shadow Priest run over there and dispersion right before it hits the wall. And good game. Alright. So, you know, that is the two different methods you can deal with a boss. Either running out or staying in. You know, and the pros and cons of both. Alright, so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and open this up to the stream chat. And you guys can ask any questions that you want about the fight. Certain tank, you know, what tank comp works the best, what are best times to use, tank cooldowns, what is the best healing comp, you name it. You know, ask whatever questions that you have about the fight, and I will be able to assist you guys in whatever I can answer. All right. And if you guys have a video that you want me to look over, by all means, link it. And I think earlier, way earlier, I saw Manorak. Yeah, let's see. Actually, we can go over his guild's log. He tossed it in here. So 441 kill. We're going to go through this log in a bit, but I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to questions for a second before we go over this log. Why didn't we do that in progress? Mages and Shadow Priests out hitting it? We actually did. That's in the kill video. Remember the Shadow Priest that rocket boots all the way to the wall? Yeah, that's the Shadow Priest using dispersion. One thing that we didn't really know, I mean, you got to think, we didn't have that many pulls in on the fight. You're dealing with maybe 20 or so pulls max. You know, we didn't know what was absolutely the best. You didn't have months and months and different, you know, it's just we were going off what information that we had. You know, looking at it now, we probably would have let that one hit the boss and then stacked and cooled down and just had tanks go to the claws. That probably would have been the way we did it, but the way that we ended up doing it at the time, we had to make a call. Do we let it hit the boss and then stay on him and try and heal through the black phase without killing any of the flails, which was pretty rough? or what we did do, which was let it go all the way to a wall and have a Shadow Priest hit it, and then let it hit the boss, and then kill it as, you know, it phase changes as it's dying. So, you know, it's just something that we had to make a call on the fly, and that's what we decided to do. Did you focus a lot on making sure Warlord had a healing received debuff on him when he drains? No, we did not. We didn't really even worry about that because the healing was so marginal. As long as it's only hitting the tank, it's not really that big of a deal. You know, I mean, I guess if you wanted, you could probably have DK stack up a few stacks of Necrotic Strike to prevent any of it. But yeah, I don't think that that's even worth dealing with, to be honest. I'm not sure. You'd have to ask Affinity what his loot add-on is. There, we got another log. I'm going to just look at this here. So we got 2 logs to go through. Since range is largely king on Zonozz, do you guys usually run with a preference for the range, melee, in the mix? I mean, range, more fights than not, range is just going to be better all around, man. I mean, like, there's very few fights where it's like, yo, we need to stack melee, you know? I mean, it's just more times than not, we end up bringing more range to melee regardless. So, yeah. We let him go into Black Phase and burn him. Are there any disadvantages to this? We pop minis, cooldowns to make sure that we live through the fail damage. Yeah, at the end you can do that. We've even done that sometimes. If you've got the raid cooldowns up, you can let it hit the boss at like the last, say, 10%. You can let it hit the boss, and then instead of dealing with the whole phase, you just have the raid stack, you barrier, you know, you're all in healing circles and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, there's nothing at all wrong with doing that. If there's any more questions, you guys throw them out there. We're just going to trim through some of these logs that we've got here. This is Manorak's log. We're just going to go ahead and, for his log, I'm going to go look at his tank cooldowns and just look at what he's doing. Manorak, if you're still in the chat, you just let us know, do you tank... I can figure that out myself. 1 second. Let's see. Let's look at damage taken. We can tell who's tanking. Alright, it looks like he's solo tanking the fight. Alright. So what we're going to do here is look at his buffs cast and buffs gained. So if he's the only tank, we have to look at his demo uptime. I'm not sure we can actually... Yeah, let's see. Double check. Okay, you got an off tank with a pallet. Okay. Well, with that said, I won't be looking at your demo uptime because the pallet will have it pretty much 100%. Alright, so let's take a look at his... Let's get Bone Shield uptime. Looks pretty good. Looks like he's probably doing it. If I had to guess, coming the way I use it, I come out of every phase with that and use major cooldowns leaving each phase. AMS here, he's probably getting every one of the psychic drains that he needs, and I do only notice 2 Vamp Blood uses. If you wanted, you could probably milk more Vamp Bloods out of that. I'm not sure exactly how you guys are doing. If that was only 2 black transitions that you had, more power to you. That's all you needed to use it. So good on you. IBFs, let's take a look. Looks like he's IBFing going into the black phase, and probably here, I'm going to guess he had a paint sup. Let me check. I'm going to guess. Oh, he actually got a paint sup while IBF'd, okay. You tell your healer not to do that. That's wasting. You don't need both. That's like mega overkill. Just curious, what did you end up having? It looks like you're vamp blooding during the second black phase, so what did you have on you going in before that? Because right here, this is good. You had the IBF going into the phase change when he's hitting super hard. I'm just curious what you had up right here going into the second black phase. Unless the Pally was maybe tanking, because it looks like your blood shield is almost full time on the boss, so that's kind of hard to believe unless you got really lucky string of avoidance and things like that. Let's check out Dancing Rune Weapon. Kind of makes sense. Dancing Rune Weapon's active during that, so he maybe just got a A lot of avoidance, not needed a cooldown. Let's look at, see if he got... Let's look at when his will procced. Yeah, that's right. Got a will proc there. That's why it's really important. This means he dipped really hard, pretty much right before he transitioned. So that's when the boss is going to be hitting the hardest. That's why it's really important for you to have a cooldown as a tank at that point. Let's look and see if we can find... Okay, no Hand of Sack in there. So, I don't know, maybe just... you know, probably miscommunication with the healers. That pain sub should have been right here instead of right there. At the end of the day, he made it happen regardless. Let's look at his healing done. See his rune taps. He's got a lot of those. He's even health stoning. No pet sack or lichborn in there. Probably didn't really need it, to be honest. If anything, you maybe have used it like when you had the 2 will procs, one of those 2, but not that big of a deal. Let's take a look at his guild's damage done for the fight. And you see here, they're probably actually... No. Okay, they actually have 4 fucking rogues. Holy cow, that's a lot. Do you guys keep the boss... Do you guys leave melee on the boss, I'm guessing? That would be my guess looking at your parse here. I would guess you guys would have melee staying on the boss just due to some of these melee numbers higher than the ranged. Because, you know, that's like I said, it depends on your strat. You can either have it stay with the melee or you can have it stay with the ranged. And just to kind of show you some disparity between that and ours, you know, I can go through here. Let me look and get our Zonozz kill date, and then I'll show you our progression parse. Uh, 12/6. Okay, so let's go back to December 6th. Alright. Wow, it's probably already gone. No! Okay, well, let's go to January. It should be relatively similar. Our strat hasn't changed much. Let's see if we can find a progression kill with Dragon Soul 25 Heroic. Warlord Zonozz. Here we go. Report expired. Alright. Let's go to the next one. Alright, 200 kills for us. Warlord Zonozz. This is way back, pre any buffs. 528 kill time, and you can see the difference on damage done between the one that he linked, where their melee are, and you can look at where ours is. Shadow Priest, Warlock, Moonkin, Mage, Ellie Shaman, Warlock, Mage, Shadow Priest. You know, all of these here are our ranged, whereas in his log, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I'm just showing you guys the differences between the two strats. Every one of these are physical DPS for him, and every one of those are caster DPS for us. See the difference? That's how much difference it makes which side of the boss that you pull the, which side of the room you pull the boss on during the second phase. So that's why it's imperative as a raid leader, as a guild leader, whoever's making the decisions for your guild, that you need to look at your raid comp and decide, which do I have a better strength with? Do I have a better strength with my ranged, or do I have a better strength with my melee? And that's going to answer your question, okay? So that's Manarax's kill log. Let's see here. You see the damage spikes. These look like, this is probably, actually, this is definitely probably a phase change right in here. This is probably the very end of that, going into the next phase. And you see they less at the end here. Okay, so that's looking at his. This mage here took a lot of damage compared to the other ones. Maybe they have. How do you guys do that? Do you have you guys have your mages soaking the orb? Because that's like an insane amount of damage. I'm guessing they do. They probably have their mage out there soaking it with like cauterizer or ice block or something. Okay, yeah, mages take turns. Okay, so that's what that means. All right, so that said, you know, that was just looking at what his guild, he provided us a log with melee staying on the boss. You guys can see the difference with that. We're going to take a look at this guy's 10-man guild. What we can look at with this, looks like they have a DK tank, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at his cooldowns. And go ahead and full screen this for you guys. We're going to look at buffs cast. Let's look at how many times he's using Bone Shield. That's good. Look at how many times he's using Vamp Blood. See if he's got his gloves macroed in. He does. This guy's on top of his game. His IBF, so it looks like he's going into the first phase. Right, and then let's look at, let's see. One Dancing Room weapon. Probably could have used that again on the pull, just for a little better threat buffer. Anti-magic shell. Just using that pretty good on the psychic drains probably. I would hope so at least. He's pre-potting strength. He's actually double potting strength, so this guy's going hard. There's only one claw on 10 man. That's another thing if you guys are looking at doing 10 versus 25. This guy actually, I give this guy props, man. He's got his TV trinket on. This guy's on top of it. So he's got, he's probably using the IBF. If I had to guess, you're probably IBFing during the black phase along with your Image of Immortality. And, is that right or not? You have to let me know. The only thing that I don't really understand about that is if you're popping IBF, or I guess what doesn't make sense is why you would use the TB trinket, because you should be IBFing going into the phase, like when you're taking the most damage when he's hasted, and then coming out of that, you need to be Vamp Blooding, which is what makes sense here. But with that said, I don't know, maybe this is what he did. Maybe he AMS'd the first Psychic Drain and TB trinketed the second one on every one of them. That's actually what I think he was doing. So we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt and go with that. So if you've got a TB trinket, you can get both. He AMS's the first Psychic Drain, and he TB trinkets a second. IBF, that's good. Let's see if he got a PS or something like that. If this guy got a PS, I'm just going to, at the time, okay, I haven't clicked it yet, but I'm going to guess if his PS is right in here, I'll give this guy my stamp of approval. Well, let's check it out. Boom! Dude, this guy is right on it, man. This guy is the guy that's on top of his game. He's got it all planned out. He's AMSing every one of the beam, or the first of every beam. He's TB trinketing the second on every Psychic Drain. He's IBFing or getting a PS going into the phase when the physical damage is highest on him, and then he's Vamp Blooding for his healers going into each black phase, while having Bone Shield active. Let's look at his, let's check this out. One sec. He only had one will proc the whole fight. Only thing I can look at is the healing done. Let's check out his healing done. Death Pact, okay. The only thing I would critique this guy on is he doesn't have any Lichborn healing. And you know what? We're actually going to go check this guy's armory out because I'm pretty impressed. Let's see how his spec and all that shit goes. Kuja from Wildhammer, is that who we're looking at? Pillow Fort. Okay, this is him. He's in PvP gear. Hopefully, we can at least check out his spec. He has Lichborn. He didn't use it. All right, so still got something on him. Nobody's perfect, bro. I'm just giving you a hard time. All right, this is really good. This is a really, really impressive. You know what you need to do. You know when it needs to happen, and you're making it happen. So this is really good. He's got a lot of healing. He's even death pacting, everything. So this guy's pretty much on top of his shit. And the only thing, I would maybe try to use Dancing Room Weapon on the pull, and if anything, Armor Pot the second time around, because I don't really know why you would Strength Pot. Maybe it's to help kill your claw or something. I'm not sure. Let's see that Blood Shield. All right, so yeah, that guy's pretty lights out. Let's check out his healers. Did he have a? So he had a priest and a. So he had healing done. I guess he had a Pally Priest healer comp. Not bad, man. Not bad at all. Let's check out other questions, if anybody has any. This guy says, a friend of mine needs help on his Fire Mage spec. Just make a post on our public forums, man. One of the mages will get to you. Trying to keep this tied into boss questions at the moment. Oh yeah, the guy says here, yeah, AMS is the first drain, TB on the second drain. Yeah, that's good. Trying to find out any questions here. Okay, so you guys are caught up on questions for this. All in all, this is good. I mean, the fight isn't major complex. I mean, it is what it is. It's an earlier fight in the instance. It's not going to be some super crazy complex thing going on that's like a NASA strat, but at the same time, the fight is somewhat, you know, challenging, and you know there are always guilds who are going to be on it during progression. All right, so I mean every week I can't do the same spine thing over and over, so that's why we got to pick other stuff. So this makes our boss walkthroughs. We started with gunship, then we did spine, then we did madness, and now we've done Zonozz. Next week I'll have to pick between Ultraxian, Hagara, and Yorsaj. So it depends on what more people ask as far as the demand for each one of those. Whatever the most people want to see, we will you know, go check it out. People are talking about this guy's professions. One real quick, alchemy, engineering. It's not that bad. I'd probably drop alchemy for something else, but that's just me. Either way, you know, hopefully you guys learned something from the show. If you guys have any questions that pop up that you may not have thought of, you know, this is going to be uploaded on YouTube. And you guys can go back and watch it. I have the highlight cut out about every 24 hours. I put it up on YouTube. Either do it at night before I go to bed or in the morning when I wake up. So make sure you guys are subscribed to my YouTube channel, and you guys can go back and watch this, show it to your guild, anything like that. Let's see. Yeah, what I was getting at is if you guys have any questions that pop up between now and whenever, put them on my Twitter. I will go through it and you know, answer any questions that I can, as long as they're not stupid, at some point. So good job. I appreciate Manarax and this Kuja guy giving me logs to use on the show, and hopefully, like I said, people learn something from that. And even if you've already killed the boss, you can maybe learn something that you know, can help your guild get more consistent kills, and or you know, just increase your kill time or whatever you're going for. All right, so. Good show. Thanks for watching. We have some raids coming up tonight. If you guys are new to the stream, this is an every Monday deal. Tomorrow is a raid leader discussion. We'll be going over just every Tuesday is different aspects of being a raid leader in a guild environment, how to improve, you know, performance, deal with adversity. I mean, there's all kind of different topics that we go over. You guys show up tomorrow if you're interested in that. Wednesday is a tank Q&A. A lot of people ask about tank audits and things like that. I chip away at those on Wednesdays. I've got a lot in queue. You know, we'll just chip away at them as we can. It's kind of hard to get caught up on those with as much stuff as we got going on with the stream, the guild, the website, and all that. So, good stuff. Thursday is going to be the tank talk. I've got a few offers out. We'll see who takes me up on that to be on the show this week. And this week's special guest Friday is going to be a warrior from Blood Legion. I haven't decided if it's going to be Jury, Troy, or Center, or all three. We'll have a poll up, and we'll see what you guys want to vote on for who that's going to be this Friday. So thanks for watching. Make sure to follow the channel. We have raids coming up in less than an hour. I'm just going to chill a bit before the raid, so make sure you guys are hanging around to watch some of the raids and stuff tonight. So thanks for watching, and yeah, I'm just going to run a few commercials and chill out before the raid. All right, good talk.